Well, thank you so much, Maria, for joining me today. I am with Heartland Song Network. My name's Debbie. I'm going to be interviewing you today. Do you want to talk about yourself for a little bit and tell me who is Maria?
Yes. So my name is Maria Elena Cuevas, and I front the band Maria the Mexican. I'm also a yoga teacher as well as a grant writer and administrator. But in regard to my music, I am the vocalist, kind of the lead vocalist of the band Maria the Mexican. I also play the acoustic guitar, but I also play the vihuela, which is the kind of smaller instrument that's traditionally in a mariachi band. I performed in my grandmother's mariachi band, Mariachi Estrella, for about 10 years from the age of 11 to about 21.
Wow. So how was that whole construction created of Mariachi Estrella, correct?
Sure. Yeah. So my grandmother started one of the first all-female mariachi bands in the country, which was Mariachi Estrella. So she started that probably in about the late 70s. And they grew and were performing around the Topeka and Kansas City area. A big part of their story is that they were playing the night of the Hyatt Skywalk collapse. And so they were actually on the portion of the I think that connecting skywalk area that
Yeah.
did collapse. So she did lose four members of her band that evening and was severely injured, but did survive. And then once she recovered, it was just her passion and her drive to teach others, especially family members, mariachi music and to sort of carry on that legacy and that music. And so she really began to kind of recruit family members, but also write out mariachi music. At that time, it wasn't written out, it wasn't as readily available in that form. So my sister and I, we always joke, we weren't really asked if we wanted to do it. We just were sort of told by our parents. And my sister is older and she's actually Teresa as well. My grandmother was Maria Teresa, but she went by Teresa. And so my grandmother played the violin. So my parents put my sister on the violin. And then I came along and they thought, well, let's find her a different instrument. So for a hot minute, they actually wanted me to play the accordion, but we couldn't find an accordion teacher at that time in Topeka. And so they thought, well, let's put her on the guitar and then she'll learn the vihuela. So that's how we got involved in the mariachi. And we performed with her until our early 20s because she really performed up until the very last part of her life, until she just wasn't physically able to perform anymore. And she did continue to play violin in church. I mean, really up to her, to the very end, until she just couldn't physically do that anymore. But I will say that I think that the music just helped her feel alive and continue on with her drive and her passion. So maybe one of the biggest parts of her story that I love to share is that she really created this legacy in her 60s. So it's never too late
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's never too late to start pursuing a passion of yours and to create something lasting and to share and to pass on.
That is so beautiful. I feel like that is something that we all need to hear, especially during this time. It's just so many people have had to pivot careers, professions, switch into something different just to feel alive again. And your grandmother and you are huge examples of that. So I love that you are sharing that with us. Do you remember any of the gigs that you played with your grandmother?
Oh gosh, yes, of course. It was so fun, but at the same time, we were young. We were probably the busiest when we were in high school. So there was always a push and pull. We always joke, it's like every time you have a vacation or something you want to, you're looking forward to, a gig will come up. And And we always were arguing with our parents, we want to go to the party. And no, we had to go to the gig,
Mm-hmm.
But it was so fun. Music is so joyous. And whenever I'm feeling down, or even if I'm feeling a little under the weather, I kid you not, just playing music, singing, being with people is so uplifting for, I think, the body, mind, and spirit. And we would just hang out after our gigs when we were that young. We'd always go out to eat, and we're a very family oriented family. So I just cherish those moments that I had with my grandmother, because she played such a big role in my upbringing, and she was such a big role model and inspiration. And so to not have her today with me, just, thinking of those moments, those many memories that we got to share, I'm so grateful for those.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. I feel like, as I myself am a Mexican as well, it's those memories with your grandmother, with your grandparents are staples and who we are now. And looking back at my childhood, for sure, I definitely feel the same way of there were a lot of moments where I was like, Mom and Dad, why are you making me do this? But now I'm so thankful for the childhood that I had.
Absolutely.
So talking about, you listening to other music and you sort of decompressing and also feeling a sense of joy through music, what are some of the genres that you listen to? I'm sure there has to be more than just mariachi, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so interesting because I talk about this a lot. The sound of Maria the Mexican, of the band that I'm in. It was a little bit difficult to put it in a box, right? You're always being asked to define yourself. And when I think back about my upbringing, my father in the morning would play mariachi music to wake us up. Miguel Aceves Mejia, Jose Alfredo Jimenez. But he'd also play Santana or Eric Clapton or Bonnie Raitt. And
Mhm.
so I remember when I was young and I first started getting into buying CDs, the first CD I bought was Fleetwood Mac, because I love their
Yes.
sound. Right. And so kind of looking back at those influences, I really see them in the music that we perform today. It's really this mix, this mezcla of mariachi, but also rock and roll. I love a little blues, a little soul, a little funk. I love all of that music, which is reflecting the different parts of me, being a Mexican American woman. It's just really a reflection of this kind of mix that I am, and so many people are. You're not
Hmm.
just saying, right? Like my grandmother and grandfather were from Mexico. My mother is Irish German. I'm just a mutt of so many different things. And that's the music. Well, today in our band, we cover, all of these traditional mariachi songs, Bésame Mucho, Sabor a mí, Por un Amor. We recently started playing Volver, Volver. And then we get to do, we play Como la Flor by Selena, which is so fun. And everyone in the crowd goes,
Iconic.
right? And we throw in our original music, which is mostly written by my husband, Garrett Nordstrom. And that has kind of that rock and roll-esque, 60s, 70s vibe to it. But then we'll cover Santana, and we'll cover a Rolling Stone song or a Beatles song. So it really is just this mix, just a reflection of the music that we like and the sounds that we like. And it doesn't really run one genre, but I think that's okay, because just like I said, I'm a mix of everything. It feels like
Yeah.
sometimes.
And that's, again, like you were saying, it's the contemporary version of what exactly is out there now, like who we are as humans is we
Mhm.
are all a huge combination of everything, of chile mole
Yes.
and everything, all the spices.
Absolutely.
I would love for you to tell me a little bit about some of the songs that maybe your husband and you collaborate on. What inspires you guys specifically to write the songs?
Well, that's a good question. My husband really is the primary songwriter. Um, One song was his that he wrote many years ago in English, and he wanted to translate it to Spanish. So we reworked that translation, the same melodies, right? But we added kind of our instrumentation because we have a trumpet player in the band that really pulls in that mariachi sound and gave the trumpet player the solo in the middle. And so again, it's like this mix of what he brings and what I bring. There's also been times, well, I'll tell you a story. So I'm a yoga teacher, and when I got my certificate, I got trained in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta. I went to a school, a yoga school down there, and it was so great because he was able to join me, and I would be gone all day, from 7 a.m. to 4, and he would just work on music. And so he actually wrote almost our entire second album that month that I was studying, and I'd come home and he'd play on the iPad. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this sound? And it was really, really cool to just see him develop that every day, work on it and tweak it. We also wrote a song that was inspired by the melody of an old church song that I used to sing with my grandmother, because in the mariachi, we would perform in church often. We would play the mass for the quinceañeras and the parties. And we were at Our Lady of Guadalupe in Topeka all the time, performing the church music. And so I played him an old song that we performed in church, and he said, "Oh, let's use that melody as an inspiration for an original song." And that's how we wrote our song, "The Citadel." So it's, there's not really a straightforward process. Sometimes he'll give me a couple chords and a little melody, and then we'll build from there. We'll build into a verse, we'll build into a bridge, but it's a really, really fun process. And what's even more fun is then going into the studio and just kind of seeing you create something from nothing. And we've been so lucky. We've done quite a bit of recording with a producer in Austin, Texas, who just really can feel the kind of Southwestern flair that we like to add. He has a really great ear for that and our sound. And we also have done recording in Mexico as well, in San Pancho with another producer. And it's sort of the same, once someone kind of understands what you're going for, it's really fun to collaborate and all throw in different ideas and see your songs really come to life.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like there is an evolution that's already sort of happening in your band. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's always changing and evolving, I think. And just me as a musician and a performer, just learning my craft even more and being perhaps more comfortable with who I am, as a performer and an artist. I think that over the last 10 years has changed and grown and developed. But what we have now, I really love the instrumentation. So we have the trumpet player. My husband plays electric guitar. I play acoustic guitar. Of course, we have bass drums. We also have a keyboard player who is my cousin.
I love that. Keep it in the family again.
Yes. And then we have another guitarist who plays the pedal steel guitar. And so he kind of brings that twang in, that Southwestern flair. And it's so fun to put it all together. And I think that those instruments have helped us sort of define our sound even more. It's really fun to see live, and to see all of the instrumentation come together.
Yeah, I am so excited to see you live. I keep seeing all these clips and videos since delving into a little bit about you, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just palpable, you know, the energy that's in that room. And it's unlike a song I've ever heard before, which is, it makes me really excited because new music is kind of, you know, the whole purpose for, I think, my joy. It's new music and discovering
Absolutely.
new bands. And so that's incredible. So, Maria, I want to talk a little bit about you as a yoga instructor. I feel like you kind of touched a little bit about that and how it you know, has allowed you to be more into yourself. And so now, as a performer, I'm sure yoga and being mindful has really helped ground you in some way.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of funny because I think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of misconception about yoga. You know, you have to be
Hmm.
flexible to do it, or you have to be able to do a handstand to do it. And so, what I really like to speak about in my classes is the mental aspect of yoga, which is really one of the main reasons why I do yoga. And, you know, yoga is so much more than the asana portion. It's just one tiny little portion of the entire practice of yoga. Asana referring to the physical practice, right? You have the meditative work, you have the breath work. And it's I think today more than ever needed, right? This idea of having a mindfulness practice, of really becoming aware of your thoughts and your patterns and your tendencies, and noticing what serves you and what doesn't serve you, and then realizing that you really have the power to choose how you want to think, how you want to show up. So not only has it helped me as a performer, but I mean, my yoga practice helps me every day. You know, it doesn't look like a 60-minute practice every day. It might be 1 or 2 minutes of breath work. It might be shutting down my eyes and just trying to calm the fluctuations of the mind. And that's okay. That's what yoga is. You know, it doesn't also fit in one little box that has to be the same every single day. But I also, it's no surprise to me, my passion for yoga, you know, the element of music, right? And of singing and of using your voice, and how that coincides with the chanting in yoga, right? Like the mantra
Hmm.
aspect of yoga. That's a huge part, and the vibration in your throat and your throat chakra and that energy center. And just how it's all connected, right? The mind, the breath, the body, the
Yes.
thoughts, how we want to think, and then how we want to show up and share and speak and talk and act, right? And it's just all about, I think, just being aware, you know, just taking some time to slow down, become aware, and tap into your power to choose, and not be like a slave to your thoughts or a slave to your outer environment. So it's all very
Hmm.
connected, right?
Yes, preach. That's incredible. I just had this idea that we, as Heartland Song Network, should host a little session with you as our yoga instructor
I
and have
love
all of the
that.
musicians come out because I hear it often, you know, in the music scene is people are starting to feel a little burnt out, especially during COVID of what it did to us. And so being mindful and just having a moment for ourselves and to provide clarity, I think is so necessary, like you said.
Yeah, and really just the breath work, right? Like being a
Hmm.
vocalist, working on the breath and working on the expansion, and it's helped me tremendously with my vocals. You know, they kind of work in tandem. Um, just being able to hold a note, right, and to support the voice properly. Breath work is a whole part of it. So it's really fun to see how they are so interconnected.
Yeah, I mean, breath work is literally life, right? You think about
Yeah.
how am I sustaining my life, and it's really through our breath. So that is absolutely key right there. Incredible. We're gonna have to figure it out, but this is going to happen. So, Maria, tell us about what you're working on currently. Are there any cool projects that are coming up? And specifically, is there anything coming up within like the holiday season that we have to keep an eye out for you, whether it be Maria the Mexican or Maria Cuevas, the yoga instructor?
Yeah. So we actually just sort of wrapped up our gigs for the year. We had our annual holiday party at Knucklehead. So if you missed out on that, stay tuned for next year. We were doing this annually pre-COVID. Of course, for the last couple of years, we
Yes.
weren't able to. So we finally got back in a couple weeks ago, and we sold out of the Gospel Lounge. So just
Woo!
really looking forward to that next year. We'll also have a regular gig at the Ship in Kansas City next year that we're excited about. We have several festivals planned throughout the summer, mostly local for now, but probably the biggest thing I'm excited about is we're finally wrapping up our third album, which has taken us 6 years to complete. So it's been a long time coming. The tentative plan is to start to release a single each month, probably starting in February. And then at the end of the year, we'll have that full album. So I'm very excited for this third album. I think that you will see the sound that I was describing with the band pulling in the trumpets and a lot of emphasis on the pedal steel and songs that are newer that people maybe have not heard us perform often. I think that it just kind of shows our growth and our progression as a band and me as a vocalist and a performance as well. I am very excited to share that and just very proud of what we've been working on for the past 6 years. So it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Oh, I love that. Where can we hear this? And then what is the Instagram handle that we could locate you at?
Sure. So I'm honestly most active with the band on Facebook. It's just our page is Maria the Mexican. Also Instagram. It's really long. The handle, I use the underscore. So it's Maria underscore the underscore Mexican underscore musica. Because you know how it is with handles, everything's taken. So Instagram as well. But then, you can actually listen to our first and second album directly from our website, mariathemexican.com. We're also on Spotify. We're also on Apple, all those outlets you can find us. And as we slowly begin to release each of those singles, you'll be able to check out each of those platforms, and we'll blast it all over Facebook and Instagram, and we'll try to really spread the word.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Maria. This has been such a pleasure. You were just such a dynamic personality and a human. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit.
Well, thank you so much for this interview and just for the feature. It means a lot. And, there's so much out there. Some days you're like, why am I doing this? Or
For
you
sure.
get down, or you just feel like nobody's listening or paying attention. So it means a lot to, me as an artist, and I'm sure all of the other artists that you feature. It's really a nice, it's an inspiration to keep going and know that people are listening and they do care and they do see and hear, and just another yet shared human experience, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely a trailblazer in our community. And so we appreciate you and value you a lot. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your holidays, because it's still December, and we will be seeing you very soon.
Absolutely, Debbie. You too have a very happy holiday season, and look forward to staying connected.
Thank you. Take care.
Yo tería mi cascabel con una cinta morada.